Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Arselona, and we're back in the Premier League today, and there's quite a bit of a catch-up that needs to be done. Quite a bit has changed since the last video, and I guess I better take you through it. Last time I left you, we'd just beaten Tottenham 1-0, and we've been on a rich vein of form ever since then. The next game we played was in the Champions League against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and a 3-2 win really started to turn around the shape of our group, really, because after some pretty bad results early on, it looked like we might be in a situation where we might not qualify, and we needed to make sure that the next two results were positive, which obviously you can see they were. Slight little spoiler alert, not really a spoiler alert. We have qualified from the group. The final game that we will play today against PSV will decide whether or not we actually finish top of the group, which I'm keen to do because it can help you avoid some of the big teams. Although looking at the Champions League, Bayern aren't actually doing too well in their group. If I can find it, is it Bayern or Barcelona? One of the two of them. That's it. Barcelona could well finish second in their group, and I'm pretty sure, Bayern as well may well finish second in their group as well. So it's not really much of a guarantee of avoiding the bigger sides. If I do finish top, I won't play Real Madrid, I won't play PSG. I don't know if I can get Chelsea at this stage, being from the same country. It remains to be seen what teams we will likely get drawn against, but I'd like to think we should still be looking at finishing top purely on principle, really. It's a group that we should be winning. A group that we are currently winning, and just one more result against PSV, a draw gets us where we need to be. Next up, we played West Brom in the Premier League, and it was a very, very interesting game, actually. I decided to kind of push the boat out tactically. I say push the boat out. I literally just went attacking for the majority of the game, and I needed to because they took a really early lead through Salomon Rondon, and it looked like it was going to be a bad game, and a typical Arsenal game where we play well midweek and then drop points against a smaller club in the league. Luckily, that wasn't the case. Once we did finally get back in the game through Theo Walcott, we just absolutely ran rampant. We had a ridiculous amount of chances, and it was a good performance. Bellerin really showing what he's capable of as well in that game, and he's been on a rich vein of form since, picking up Player of the Month awards, endless man of the matches, that sort of thing. He's been really, really good. After that, we played Sunderland, and this was a really good game in that we took the lead quite early on, consolidated it before half time, and just looked absolutely solid the whole way through, getting the clean sheet as well. And it was just a very, very solid performance again. As you can see, Hector Bellerin with a man of the match 8.2 rating. Coquelin's been absolutely solid in there as well. But if I remember correctly, he's now injured. We won't be able to use him for a fair while. So it'll be a big test of Bazer's quality in the upcoming games. Coquelin also got himself suspended in the Champions League, as you do. This game, again, one where I thought Lacazette and Fekir were going to cause problems. They just didn't. They absolutely didn't. And again, Bellerin with a 9.0 rating. And he's really starting to come good. And I'm really happy with the way he's performing and developing for us. Both domestically and in Europe. It looked like it was going to be a shaky start to the season for him, and there'd be quite a lot of rotation between him and Debussy. But Bellerin has really cemented himself as that first choice right back, and Debussy is very much his backup. And the final game was against Everton. Again, we set out to attack quite early on rather than just controlling the game. And I'll talk you through kind of why I tend to be set to control rather than attack. And it's something that I've kind of developed myself over many years and seasons of playing FM, is that early on in the game, I just like to make sure that I'm still in the job. So eventually, obviously, your team gel to your style of play, and you can, push the ball out and attack teams more and go at them more. But early on, if they don't take to that, it's a big gamble, and you could be, mid-table before your team actually start to get any real familiarity with you and actually start playing the way you want, and for you to get used to the game, that sort of thing. So for me, I like to make sure that I just get those results first, make sure that I'm in and around where I need to be in the table, not really suffering with any morale issues in the squad, that sort of thing, and have a solid foundation to build on from there, rather than just going straight all out and playing, I guess, the tactic that I want to do. I play the tactic I need to first and build from there. So going forward, there will be more goals coming from this side, more attacking football, particularly against smaller teams, and then that contain is there, and obviously very fluid in terms of familiarity, so that when we do play against the bigger sides that we do need to contain against, it's there, it's natural, it's not anything kind of awkward of, okay, we're taking our foot off the gas. It's more a case of, okay, this is what we're familiar with, and against smaller teams we can just kind of push the boat out a little bit more. So today our games are against Chelsea and PSV. Now the Chelsea game, the team news is quite interesting actually, because I was quite nervous, and still am quite nervous, to be missing two key defensive players for this game. Francis Coquelin and Aymeric Laporte are both injured, and it's serious injuries. They can't play through the pain barrier, not that I ever really like to do that anyway, so they are injured. But Chelsea also have a few injuries as well as a suspension to Cesc Fabregas. So it remains to be seen what team they actually do put out, but both teams fielding weakened sides. But just to have a look at the Premier League, it's not quite as we're not going to be quite as precautious as we may normally have been, simply because of that huge gap that we've managed to build up at the top of the table. Simply, all that is what I spoke about a couple of episodes ago, maybe even last episode, that nobody's really been consistent. And just racked up wins after win after win after win, and the top four kept changing around, that sort of thing. And once we started putting a string of results together, and the other sides were still dropping points, it became quite comfortable for us to just push on ahead. And we played some of the sides around us, some decent teams. We played a mixture of top, middle, and lower teams in the table. And we've just been consistent against them all, really. Got generally positive results throughout the season. And we've really started to push away, whereas other teams are still, teams in second and third are still kind of giving us mid-table form, really. If you look at that, there's nothing there that suggests that any of those teams should be pushing away, which is absolutely fine by me. So this game against Chelsea, while it's a game that you want to win, and it is a derby for both locality and rivalry reasons, it's a game that we really can afford to lose and really should not be too fussed about. But in the interest of actually setting our stall out and having a good season and building up some positive momentum, we do want to win this game. Right then, so this is the team that I've chosen, and as usual, standard Christmas tree formation. Check at the back: Gibbs, Mertesacker, Paulista, and Bellerin. Actually, I'm going to take Mertesacker out for Koscielny. I did rest Koscielny and Bazur for the last game, simply because I didn't want them to get suspended for this big match against Chelsea at the Bridge. So that adjusted back four now. Check, Gibbs, Koscielny, Paulista. So this is the team that we're going for. Check, Gibbs, Koscielny, Paulista, and Bellerin across the back four. I had rested Koscielny and Bazur for the last game just because I didn't want them to get suspended. They're both one card away, and I thought I needed them more for this game than I did the last one. That midfield is Ramsey, Bazur, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Bazur taking up the brunt of the defensive responsibilities in the absence of the injured Francis Coquelin. In attacking midfield, Cazorla and Sanchez doing the business, and Walcott is going to start up front. He's had a bit of a run of games and he's performed. There's no two ways about it really. He has performed well when he's been in the squad. He's got 5 goals in 8 starts, and I think with that sort of form, he deserves a chance at least. So he'll be starting today. Pretty solid bench really, and by solid I mean it's the only players that I really had the choice to use. Mertesacker, Monreal, Flamini, Debussy, Giroud, Fossum, and Destro. Ozil is back from injury, but he's not match fit. I guess I'll put him on the bench. I will take off I'll take off Giroud and put Ozil in there. But yeah, pretty solid team all round, and definitely one that is capable of getting results this season. Right then, so here's the team that we're going to come up against, and despite some of the players that they're missing, it's still a very, very strong side. They haven't got Pedro in the side, haven't got Fabregas, and I think Willian's probably missing as well. But yeah, there's still a very solid team. Courtois, Azpilicueta, Terry Cahill, Ivanovic making up that back 5 defensive unit. Matic and Ramirez in midfield, very, very solid. Hazard, Oscar, and Kennedy in behind Diego Costa. It's still a very, very strong Chelsea side, and most teams would kill for that sort of squad depth. Right then, we're underway, and hopefully we can get a solid result against this Chelsea side. Alright, early chance. Bellerin's throwing is cleared, but only back as far as himself. Alexis, great interplay out there on the right, and great double save by Courtois. And we really should be 1-0 up. I love the fact that it's barely 20 minutes into the game and we've already had 8 shots and 4 on target and 71% of the possession. We are really taking the game to Chelsea. Obviously that's going to even out as the time goes on, but it's good to see that we're piling on early pressure. Cazorla now with a free kick finds Gabriel, and it's beaten the keeper and hit the woodwork. And Kennedy gets there before Oxlade-Chamberlain, and it was a good break, but Koscielny put an end to that with what looked like a foul, but we got away with it. Another free kick. Alexis floats this one in, and Bazur gets there, couldn't quite finish it. Again, another double save by Courtois, and he's doing the business for them right now when no one else in the team's looking too sharp. Right, Alexis Sanchez has got a dead leg. I'm not even going to bother letting him see out the half, really. I mean, it's stoppage time, but there's no point in risking it. Again, like I say, it's a game that, while we want to win it, doesn't mean too much in terms of the table because we're so far ahead. So I'm going to bring on Ozil, let him play the rest of the game and hopefully build up some match fitness as well. I think a player like Ozil still got quality even when he is coming back from injury. So we'll manage him carefully. I don't even think Ozil will probably play the full game, but I definitely don't want to risk Sanchez. Right then, that's the half, 0-0. And yeah, again, like I say, not too fussed. We've had most of everything, really, in terms of the play, so I'm not too concerned. I think we can go out the second half and snatch this. Second half underway, and hopefully we can go on and do the business now. Free kick whipped in by Cazorla, cleared as far as Kennedy. Kennedy's going to look to try and start a break for them now. Being shepherded really well by Cazorla. I love that. I love seeing things like that where it's not just, clever attacking play, but, defending from the front, making sure that they can't break. However, Koscielny nearly let Diego Costa in behind and score. Luckily, the shot wasn't quite as smart as Costa's off-the-ball movement. But we need to be aware of that. Right, I'm just bringing Monreal on for Kieran Gibbs simply because Chelsea have made some subs and they've taken off Kennedy, put on Remy. Remy obviously being lightning quick, and Gibbs is starting to tire a bit. I think his stamina is something I'm going to need to work on a lot more in the future. But we've got an able replacement in Monreal right now, so so we're going to do that. Bring him on, and hopefully that won't cause too many problems down that side with fresh legs from ourselves. Right, Santi took a bit of a knock. It's not an injury, but just a bit of a brash challenge, and his conditions dropped quite a bit. So again, in the interests of not risking anything, take him off and let Ivor Fossum play in that space there. It's all about development for these younger guys now. They're getting games. Fossum started to come into the team. Obviously, Bazer's been playing since the start of the season. Fossum's starting to come into the team well. He's playing well. He's developing, and I don't have any problem sticking him on for the final 12 to 15 minutes of this game against Chelsea. Ozil now floats in a free kick. Fossum. Oh, Fossum's won us a penalty. John Terry pushed him. Now, who's going to take this free kick? This penalty, sorry. I believe it's going to be Ozil. It is. And it's saved by Courtois. Courtois had a great game. That was a really bad penalty from Ozil, though. You'd expect him to try and put that in one of the corners at least. Make the keeper have to do something. In the end, pretty routine save. But Bellerin's on the run. And has one of his trademark shots from a ridiculous angle. We could have snatched that then. As it happens, we'll probably just have to settle for the draw, which I'm not too fussed about. It's a point against Chelsea. Ramsey's picked up a knock, but he can't actually come. Well, I'm going to take him off the pitch after this set piece. Oh, they've scored. Of course they have. Oh well. Kurt Zouma scores for them in the last kick of the game. Ramsey's coming off. That's a bit annoying. Hazard floats that in, and that is the end of the match. How different that could have been if we had put that penalty in. Such is life. Ozil seems very frustrated. Of course he does. I'm going to be firm with them. You weren't good enough tonight. They weren't, in all honesty. They should have won that game. We had chances to do it early on. Secretly, I'm not too fussed about the result just because of the lead we've built up. But still, a loss is a loss, and we don't really tolerate that. So, you have a look at this now in terms of the stats, and the first 20 minutes... we'd had something crazy like 12 shots and like 4 on target or something, and then for the rest of the game hardly anything, and obviously Chelsea did even that up quite considerably, and if nothing else, this is a lesson in taking your chances. Right, Aaron Ramsey is injured. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. Not much we can really do about that. Let the physio deal with him. Sanchez out for 2 to 3 days. That's fine. Just a simple dead leg, nothing too crazy. Right then, it's time for the final game of the episode against PSV to see where we finish in our Champions League group, either first or second. And The team's pretty much unchanged, other than Ozil starts rather than being on the bench. Him and Sanchez are both slightly off colour. Ozil needs to kind of get back into match fitness, whereas Sanchez is just lacking a little bit of conditioning. So at some point I would like to bring Sanchez on for Ozil, and I feel that later on in the game it would be better to bring on energetic legs against more tired defenders rather than bringing Ozil on late in the game. But we'll see how this game pans out. Bazaar again playing in that ball-winning midfielder role. I feel like he is going to be the player that does that long-term for this club. And so I feel like him and Fossum are definitely the future of this team's midfield. Remains to be seen who the third player is. It's probably going to be somebody like Zelalem. But in the next episode, actually, after this, we will be having a look at the younger players for the future. And seeing how they developed in the first half of the season. But right now we need to focus on this PSV game and get ourselves a solid result. Right then, we're underway. Final game of the Champions League group stages, and we definitely want a win, even though a draw will do. Early pressure from PSV, and we managed to get it away. Cazorla now finds Walcott. Walcott runs, a lot of green to run at. Doesn't quite make it count. Ozil picks it up. Fossum on the edge of the box. Can he finish it the second time? He can. Fossum with a goal. His first ever goal for the club. And what a time to score it in the Champions League. And that could well be sending us through top of our group. So, good half of football. Rather uneventful other than the goal, which I guess is the way we like it. Couple of bookings, but nothing I'm really too worried about. So yeah, let's just kick on. Second half, and PSV are going to be looking to try and get back into this game as quickly as possible. But we need to be ready to capitalise on any gaps that they leave. So I have gone attacking, as I did at the end of the first half, just to keep them on their toes rather than allowing them to pile forward and put pressure on us. Gibbs finds Walcott. Walcott with a good touch. Gets in behind the back line, and Zert is equal to the shot. It wasn't really troubling him too much. Right then, bringing on Sanchez for Ozil, just to bring those fresh legs on and hopefully see the game out. Bellerin finds Alexis Sanchez out to Walcott. Tackled in the box, and Gabriel deals with that well. Back up to Alexis now. He's pulling them out wide. Finds space for Fossum in midfield. Fossum takes him back out wide to the right. Bellerin. Chamberlain. Alexis again. Cazorla finds Walcott. Walcott could have run into space there. Instead opted to find Gibbs. Gabriel with another great challenge. Alexis now running into space. Has a shot and it goes in. The keeper couldn't quite keep it out. Ended up pushing the ball into his own net. And that's 2-0. And a very, very good substitution there with Alexis coming on and scoring in very little time. I'm bringing on Destro and Debussy for the final 15 minutes of the game, just to give them a run out, give Destro a chance to maybe get some goals while the iron is hot. We will see, but yeah. Well, it's a chance for PSV late in the game. They're working it around the box and they do get it in. De Jong with a finish on the edge of the box, but it's too little too late. They're not going to get back into this, I would hope. Oh, it's a chance for us late in the game. It looked like that could have been a penalty there. This corner will be the last kick of the game. Didn't even get to take it. And there we go. We finish top of our group. And I'll bring it through to the draw just so we can see who we get. And then that will be the end of this episode. Right then, it's time for the Champions League first knockout round draw. We'll go automatic and see who we can get. There is a chance that we will get Bayern Munich. I would really rather avoid that. So far, Man City, Benfica, Chelsea, Celtic, Bayern Munich against Arsenal. Of course it is. Of course it is. We would get Bayern. Yeah. So that's happened. What can you do? Seriously. Of all the teams to get, we had to get Bayern. It doesn't matter whether we win a group or finish second. The gods do conspire against us. But all we can do is go and approach that game as we would any other and try and get that result. So that's where we are at the end of this episode. We will come back at the start of January 2016 with, well, we'll have a game against Manchester City, but as well as that, we'll be having a little rundown of how the first half of the season's gone, my thoughts on performances, tactics, and promising young players coming through, as well as people that we want to try and bring in during the transfer window. We will be playing through the whole of January next episode. I won't necessarily bring you live comms of all the games. We'll live com the Man City game, but that will be about it. The rest of it will be kind of a transfer special and a half-season review. But if you've enjoyed the video so far and enjoying the series, just give it a thumbs up just to let me know I'm doing things right. Subscribe if you're new around here, and until next time, take care of yourself. Peace.